So I see Suzanne Muwesi has joined us. Can you hear us, Suzanne? Please, participants, do let me know if you can hear me or see me. I would love to know that you're actually hearing me. Oh, yes, I can hear you. Great, 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 great. I can hear and see you. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. We can see it. Okay, great. Okay, so I think we'll start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this webinar. We are very excited to have you on this webinar today. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. And happy Women's Day to both men and women. Yes, men as well.
In progress.
Happy Women's Day. Please note that we'll be recording this session. And so in case you miss anything or you're not able to join, for those who are not able to join, they can still catch it later. My name is Barbara Chomtunji, co-founder of Financial Diet Limited, which is a financial literacy company that focuses on equipping individuals with knowledge on basic money principles to create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Please do follow us on all our social media pages, that is Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Financial Diet UG in order to know more about Financial Diet as a company. We are excited to have you. I can't stress that enough. And I am your moderator today morning, and with me on this webinar, I have my partners, that is Miss Sylvia Druko and Miss Asasra Patricia. And I'll ask the ladies to just say hi to us in the chat box. Sylvia and Patricia, please say hi to the ladies in the chat box. Those are the ladies behind Financial Diet Limited. So we at Financial Diet are very excited to have you and would like to welcome and appreciate you for joining us today on this webinar dubbed Women and Finances. And someone can, okay, you can hear me, right? I think there's someone having issues with their network. Great, great. Okay, so I would like, as I was saying, would like to appreciate you all for joining us today on this webinar, dubbed Women and Finances. And we have amazing speakers and would like to, in a special way, welcome them and thank them for joining us today, for taking off their time to come talk to us about a topic that is really dear to our hearts, and sharing their wise counsel with us. We do not take that for granted. I will be introducing them soon, but before I do, let me add that these women are trailblazers in their respective fields. They have demonstrated great leadership skills, and they have my utmost admiration and respect. These are the ladies you would not want to miss listening to for anything. So please, in all you do, make sure you put your phone on airplane mode in case you're not using it. Lock your room, have a cup of tea, have a pen and a book. You don't want to miss anything, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, as we wait for more of our friends to join in, I would like to know where each one of you is tuning in from, where you're watching or listening us from. Please do let me know in the chat box your name and your location. And in case you're in a different time zone, do let us know as well. I will take just under a minute to give you direct shout outs. So please do let us know your name and location. I see Queen, Kampala, Uganda. Queen, good morning. And you can still send in your listening in from Nakasero. Denise, hi Denise. Harriet from Namave. Hazel from Alberta. Oh, wow. Hi, Hazel. Mwesije from Nairobi. Masaka, Uganda. Educate an Orphan Run from Makerere University. Caroline listening from Nalia. Caroline listening in from Rubaga. Jean from Kampala. Brenda from Muyenga. Oh, wow. I think we have a great representation. Jethro from Nairobi. Hi, Kenyans. Oh, wow. Winnie listening in from Namgongo. Diana from Hawaii. Oh, wow. What time is it in Hawaii? What time? I would love to know what time it is in Hawaii. Rita, Changwali Refugee Camp. Shadik from Dubai. Hi, Shadik. Doreen from Buziga. Please do let me know your time zone as well for those outside of Uganda. Angela from Kampala, Rita from Entebbe. Amazing. I would love to see the men. I know there are men on this webinar. Please say hi to us. Shifa from Nasana. Shifa from, yes. Helen from Barara. Okay. All right. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in. Mel, we are here. Oh, yes, Shadik. Yes, Shadik, I can see you. Okay. Take note that we're also doing live stream on all our social media pages. That is at Financial Diet UG on Instagram, on Twitter, and as well as on Facebook. Jay here in Nairobi. Hi, Jay. Oh, well, I think I need to get off from the chat box. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me skip to the good part of this webinar, because this webinar is only running for 1 hour and 45 minutes. And some of our panelists are very busy and had other engagements. So we just have to put them to use to the maximally in the very limited time that we have. So today we have 3 guest speakers, and each speaker has been given a topic to talk about in 15 minutes uninterrupted, and thereafter we'll delve into a Q&A session. But in the meantime, please I encourage all of you to take time and drop your questions. But before the questions, drop your expectations from this webinar. Why have you logged on into this webinar? What is it that you are expecting to learn or relearn from this webinar? And I will take time to sample some of the expectations as we go along. Please do let us know your expectations from this webinar. And yes, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me our first speaker, Suzanne Muwesi, who is going to be handling financial independence for women. Now, I want to confess and admit in advance that I'm not going to do justice to the bios of these amazing panelists. However, we've uploaded their full bios on all our social media pages, and I encourage each one of you to go look at their bios to get to know more about them. In short, I will say that Suzanne is a leader, an entrepreneur, an educationist. She is currently the Senior Presidential Advisor on AGOA and trade-related matters. She's the Vice Chairperson of Uganda Tourism Board, the Chairperson of the Uganda Hotel Owners Association, the Vice Chairperson NRM Women's League in Western Region. She's a mother and an advocate for women. She has so many hats. Susan, the floor is yours, and you're welcome.
Thank you, Barbara. My fellow panelists, I greet you all from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I will be leaving shortly, but I'm happy that I could be chosen as one of the panelists, and thanks for that big introduction. Happy Women's Day to you all. Thank you for everything that you have done in your lives as women. And I also thank the men who have supported you. And generally, I congratulate all of you. Thanks for this topic about women's financial independence. What is financial independence? I know there are bankers, there are people that know so much about money, but I personally, what I think as a lay person about financial independence is the ability to support oneself or yourself financially. And to be able actually to meet your needs and the needs of your family, and even to be able to assist not your immediate family only, but others. Why does it matter as a woman to be financially independent? Globally, about 85% of women control their families' day-to-day finances. I know most times, especially in Africa, we tend to think that we are the one that men look after us. But whatever little happens in families, you find that it's actually women that control their family finances. Therefore, as far as I am concerned, I think it's very crucial for women to have the skills and awareness to enable them to manage their finances and their families. Because women are the backbone of their families. This is a case at every level you can think of in our society. If you go to our homes, they are filled with helpers who have left their children with their mothers or other female relatives to come and work to provide for their families. It's quite simple. A mother will never let her children go hungry. A sister will never let her siblings go hungry. A daughter will never abandon her parents. Given the crucial role that women play in providing for their families, it's imperative then that they are equipped to do so. And in my presentation, I throw back questions and then I try and see answers so that when it becomes to question and answer, you are able to know at which part either to ask me or to think deeply about. If we say that we need financial independence and we say that we are the backbone of our society, then how do we maintain? How do we attain and maintain financial independence? How do we attain and maintain? Because you can attain financial independence at the onset, but you might not be able to maintain it. So I'll look at a few things we can do, like investment. Studies have shown that women make better investments than men. I don't know if the men who are tuning in agree with this, but I know that women do. This has to do with our risk appetite and the consistency in taking care of investments. Because sometimes I know that men are more risk takers, but women are careful in what they invest in. And however small or big, they will try to consistently take care of it. So in this way, when you invest in projects, when you invest in groups, then that's one way of attaining your financial independence. So in Uganda, definitely, I would encourage women to form small investment groups in one of them with either your friends or your relatives, and then you discuss and invest money you collect. This can be a manageable contribution. You don't have to invest so much, because when we talk about financial independence, some people are thinking in millions of dollars, but women start small and finally you find that you have enough. You should invest in land, in property, or even a business, or even lend that money out and charge interest. That's one source of investing and attaining financial independence. Other than that, being the source of income and long-term security, investment groups also provide an environment in which women can discuss finances. Because sometimes you find women, we talk so much about other things, but I'm sure it's rare that you find sometimes women in themselves talking about money. You find that you can sit and talk about clothes and things, but you have no time to sit together, even when you are friends, and talk about investment. I would like to pose a question. Have you sat with your friends and discussed any financial challenges you could be facing? Have you discussed your daily and monthly needs with your family, with your children, even sometimes with your husband? You could be financially struggling, but you find it difficult to discuss your finances. I would advise that it helps us as women to know we are all facing similar challenges, and we can collectively discuss how to meet these needs, how to provide for our future. Women typically, I'm not saying all the time, outlive men. So even if women, you are being provided for by your husband currently, at some point you have to meet your own financial needs. So you need to be financially independent. You need to invest. You need to take care of your finances. You need to have a will. Because how many women have a will? And they will say, what do I put in the will? The land belongs to the man. He will leave it with his children. But these are some of the things, when you are financially secure, then you can begin to call the shots and tell your husband, sit here. Are we in this jointly? Because then you have something you are bringing to the table. You should, as a woman, I think it's very important, if you're a mother or a sister, as a mother, you should talk to your daughters from an early stage, even before they get married, or even if they don't get married, about financial independence. You should also make sure that if you as a lady, or a mother, or you are independent, try and put aside some property and assets that you can develop with your own girl child. Because many times men leave their properties to their sons. But you find that women, you also leave your property to be taken by your sons without considering that your daughters also need these assets or need to be financially independent. Personally, I can give you an example because I know Barbara. Thank you, Barbara. You've introduced me more in the capacity of my job. But from a young age, when I was growing up, my mom was running a shop in Mbarara. And she truly involved us and started at a very young age talking to us about money and making sure we could see our dad was paying school fees, but our mother was meeting all our other needs, making sure we could dress well, we could, pocket money, what young people need. Our father was a civil servant. For him, it was to pay school fees for the children. So by our mother working, we grew up knowing that actually women can be independent. She was not so educated, but from a very young age, I knew that whatever my family had belonged to both my mother and my father, because I could see the contribution my mother was making. So even myself, when I got married, I didn't start working because I was busy having babies. but I ventured into business. And I can tell you there's no business I didn't try. From selling produce, to bringing cows to meat packers, to transport business. I've been in every business. Even when I'm working, I always make sure, because the money that you get as a presidential advisor, despite the title, is very, very little. So if you are not working to make ends meet, it would have been very difficult. So I have a motel in Barara. I have different small businesses that I do as a woman and small investments. So it's very, very important that we don't rely only on particular careers. Try to make savings and try to use those savings to invest them. Land is another thing that you can invest in. Keep buying small plots and selling them. These are some of the things I would do, and they finally paid off. I would go buy some land in Entebbe. I remember many years ago, I bought a plot of land in Entebbe. I just bought it at 5 million. And, you know, it was like the beginning of me being financially independent, because when I sold it, then I could start investing that money in business. Another strategy for attaining and maintaining financial independence is evaluating your spending habits and creating a budget. Many times, there's so many attractive things in the world, especially women. We love to dress well, we love to travel. So do this at the beginning of every month. At the end of each month, review last month. Set monthly and annual financial goals. For example, you could say, I want to save this amount each month and this amount this year. It does not have to be a daunting task. Start small. For example, every time you withdraw money, keep 10,000 in a drawer. You'd be surprised how much you can accumulate. Another advice I would give in creating financial independence is have an emergency fund as a woman. This is a savings account with enough money to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses. And an emergency fund can cover unexpected circumstances, e.g. job loss, a health care, or family emergency. I know some of you might have insurance coverage, but it's always important to have some emergency fund as a savings. Obviously, without knowing your expenses, you cannot set aside money for this fund, which is another reason why it is important to know consistently what you spend. I know there are so many eventualities that come. I know there are so many needs that crop up, but what you can exceed your budget, but it's very important that you try and maintain your budget and say, this is what I wanted to spend this month. Okay, if I've exceeded, but I have not doubled my expenses. Another point I could bring out is that you ensure you are being paid fairly. Women continue, especially in Uganda and in Africa, and even worldwide actually, to earn less than their male counterparts for doing exactly the same job. Many women in the workplaces, we are very afraid having conversations about remuneration. You would see men doing this with their employers and colleagues. Ask your counterparts in your department how much they are being paid. Ask your HR or your boss. You have a right to know because you are working. Negotiate and advocate for yourself. Women in the workplace normally don't support each other. And this is almost worldwide. You'd see men fighting for each other, but you would see women pulling each other down. So I was very, very impressed when Barbara called me and showed me even the panelists that are on this, because they are people I respect. I know Barbara Kasekende, I know Julian. And so I was really happy to see what Barbara has organized, and that it's women that are on this panel to talk about finances. Let's learn to share information. Let's make our voices heard collectively, whether it is about pay or other benefits. You need also to advocate for a flexible working environment. You could find, because when we talk about financial independence, it includes most of these things. Because if you can't discuss your finances at workplace, you can't discuss your finances with your family, you can't discuss your finances with your friends, you can't invest with them, then there is no way you will ever attain financial independence. Even when you attain it, if you are not having these conversations, you will not maintain it. So it's very important that we hear each other. If we hear of a job opportunity, think of a woman. If there is a promotion, think of your fellow woman, because men do recommend men. We need to do the same. And this is not in any way bringing men down, but they've been up all this time. When one of us wins, we all win. That should be our mentality. So my summary of today's message, we need more of these conversations about financial independence. I liked the title of your company, is it Financial Diet? We need these conversations not only between us women, but also as a nation. Financial freedom for women is of benefit to society as a whole. It strengthens a family, it creates security, and directs resources to what matters most in our country. That is children, education, and taking care of the elderly. Conversations like we are having today must spur action on our part and on the part of our institutions and our elected representatives at Parliament. Financial literacy programs should be instituted in our schools and especially tailored for each gender. Because when I talk about women, I'm a mother of 3 girls and 2 boys. So when I talk about women, I also have to think of my sons as well. Because not that because they are men, they are financially independent either. The data is there and the benefits are well known. All that is left is for us to put it into action. So I want to really thank you, Barbara, and your partners, and thank all the listeners, and hope that this is not just a one-off, that we'll continue to have these conversations, these discussions, and I know we have many people listening in and many brains that are on this webinar. I hope and believe that my little contribution will be of help. There is always room for improvement. There is always room for learning. I'm also here to learn, and I believe that one can continue to develop and one can continue to work and continue to excel and get financially independent no matter what age. From my young age, I would imagine I'm financially independent. We've educated our children. We are not rich, but we have enough to eat and to look after the other people and elderly, and to support society and support our nation. But I still believe there's so much we can do to maintain this financial independence and to continue to help others. Because even if you are financially independent, but you are not helping society or adding value or educating an orphan or building a school or doing things for society, then really, I don't see that as financial independence. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Suzanne. That was wonderful. That was great. I am at a loss of words because of the wisdom, the information that Suzanne has shared with us. And I had my book here. I was taking notes. So because I believe in learning and relearning, every day is a learning day. And I have picked so much from what you've said, Susan. And but there is like the icing on the cake, like the last nail on the coffin. So that's what they call it, right? It is okay to have financial independence, but let it be of value, ladies and gentlemen. If you're financially independent and you're just benefiting yourself and not anyone else in society, then I am sorry, but that is wasted financial independence. Ladies, let us have conversations with our girl children as well, not only the boy child, at an early age. Okay. And then what the other thing that I picked that was so interesting for me is the small investments. One by one makes a bundle. I know it's cliche, but it is real. One by one makes a bundle. So anyways, I think, let me not dilute what you have just said, Suzanne. Suzanne, unfortunately, will be leaving us shortly due to a prior engagement that she had. If there is any question that you have for her before she leaves us, please do let us know in the comment section, in the chat room. Do let us know before she takes her leave. Financial independence for women is financial independence for all. Women are the backbone of the society. And I like what you said, that a mother, a sister, an auntie cannot let their child or their grandmother go hungry. So that means that we really, really, really have to be financially independent as women in order to uplift our society, not just our families, but our society at large. Okay, so there is a question we are getting from one of our social media pages. And the person is asking, at what age what is the earliest age to talk to your children about money?
Well, I will speak for myself. Like I told you, I'm a mother. It all begins at home by showing that young person the value of money. For example, I'll give you an example. If you begin by showing your child that whatever they demand, you give it to them, then you are creating a problem. But simple things like saying, if you do this well, if you give them like small chores at home and say, if you do this and do it well, I will buy you this. The person begins to relate good things with remuneration. So as far as age is concerned, even a child of 5 should be able to understand the value of money. It's because simple things like breaking a toy. If your child doesn't know that a toy costs money, breaks a toy, you go and buy another one. Already you are creating a problem. And this child would turn out to be a spendthrift because it's just about demand. But if you say, this toy I bought you is expensive, so you won't have a toy because you broke that one. It's as simple as that. So when you talk about what age, as early as a 5-year-old, at least I'm speaking from experience.
Okay, thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, for as long as your child understands to break a toy, they should understand what money means, at least in the basic, simplest terms related to money. So there was another question from Shadik. How can I be financially independent? This is from Zoom. How can I be financially independent in 5 years?
That's a very, how can he be financially independent in 5 years? By starting to save of whatever he's making. And like I said, financial independence is a continuous process. So I don't think as I've had people say, me, I am completely financially independent. I don't know if there's anything like that, because there are so many things to aspire to. If you've educated your children, you aspire to see them get married, have weddings, you see them want to have their children. Like myself now, I'm looking at grandchildren. and you say, do I have enough savings probably to support my child who is not as successful? So if you really want to be successful, financially independent in 5 years, first of all, you have to know what you are doing and probably take a leaf from the advice I've given you. Invest in with others. Look at your spending habits. Do some savings, and maybe in 5 years you'll be indeed financially independent. It's a very wide topic, and maybe since there are other panelists talking probably around the same topic, they will discuss it. Maybe I know they are bankers. Maybe they will tell you to go and get a loan, but I don't know if a loan will create so much financial independence unless you invest it well. But I believe I'll be thinking that if you just took some advice from what I've said, you might be financially independent. You will be financially independent in 5 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Suzanne. So, thank you so much, Suzanne. And I think I see we have other questions, but like she said, we have other panelists that I think we'll be able to take them on. We'll have to let her go. And thank you so much once again for sparing time to come and talk to us, Suzanne. We really appreciate this. And maybe before she goes, let me just say one quote that is in relation to what she was saying. And this is by someone called Claire Luz. A woman's best protection is a little money of her own. Ladies, you need to have a little money of your own. And just like we had said, financial independence for women is financial independence for all. Thank you so much, Suzanne. We will unfortunately let you go. Would have loved to have you stay around longer, but we appreciate that you had prior engagements. Thank you so much.
I can assure you I will probably try and tune in until I go.
So we'll have to have you back. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, please keep the questions coming. We'll have another Q&A at the end of the session. We'll be sure to answer all your questions. And also note that this webinar is being recorded and you can catch it again later on all our social media pages. And also we are tweeting on our Twitter account. Please retweet if you can. Yes, so I think let's move on to the next speaker. Our next speaker is Barbara Kasekende. And like I said earlier, I will not do justice to these wonderful ladies. All their bios, their full bios are uploaded on all our social media pages. Kindly go check them out to know more about Barbara, Suzanne, and our third speaker, who I'll not mention until we're introducing her. So Barbara is a businesswoman in brief and a corporate executive who serves at the head of the advisory department at Uganda Development Bank, a woman who empowers other women and a youth advocate. She's a mother, a wife, a friend, and a sister. Barbara, you're welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, namesake. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? No?
Yes, we can. We can hear you, Barbara.
Okay, excellent. I was like, let me remove these if you can't hear me. All right, ladies, happy Women's Day to all the guys who are here. You have to clap for yourself because that means you support us. We cannot do without you. It's nice to see you all. Susan, gosh, you know where we started from. I have seen part of Susan's journey, and that lady is absolutely fabulous. As for Juliana, our journey goes all the way back to school. So to be with these wonderful ladies and to even be chosen to come and spend time with you guys this morning, I am absolutely humbled. Now, Bobs, thank you for doing this. And I know there are guys here, I'm going to talk about stocks, bonds, what's where to go. We are going to take it back a notch, ladies and gentlemen, on this talk of money and talk about us first. Because if I do not know myself, and what my habits are like. It doesn't matter how much advice Susan is going to give. It doesn't matter how many financial fitness, appointments you're going to go for. If you are not mentally ready to walk this journey, Mukwano, brokenness will always be your best friend. So let us talk about some of those things that we can do to remove that kafla that keeps holding us back, called brokenness, no money, stress around money. So crying out loud, it's a piece of paper, but it causes so much stress. So one of the things I really want to mention, in fact, my presentation is going to be twofold. I'm going to talk from my experience, the extent, some of those things that were holding me back, from my success. Oh, I'm not successful yet. I'm not where I want to be. But some of those things that were holding me back. And then I'm going to talk about some of those things that worked, that have made me reach where I am today. And I'm sure some of you guys will also be able to read into some of these things with me, because these are small, little, tiny mistakes we do every day that stop us from reaching greatness, especially where financial independence is concerned. I mean, we're all about making and growing money, right? But then also life is not about making and growing money. So we have to be very careful on what we can do on that. So one of the things I want to talk about is fear. And Susan also mentioned it very closely. We love money. We love it every day. We love it. We want it. But we fear it. We fear it. We fear talking about it. We fear, if there's anything that is a huge subject, it's like, that is not meant for me. But we want the money. But we don't want to put in the work because of a fear. There's that thing that holds you back, that makes you not actually do that one thing that you want to do. Let me give an example. Weight loss. We're at the beginning of the year. Not so bad. Everyone is all about weight loss. Everyone wants to start it. We started off at the gym. Then most of us, especially women, we start, but that part doesn't, my behind doesn't look good in that. So I don't think I'm going to go on that treadmill. So before you know it, but the border men will see me jogging outside. And you see, you already have the fear elements. Before you know it, you've done nothing about the weight loss journey that you wanted to start with. Same thing with small habits like savings. You said, this year I'm going to start. I'm going to start doing like what Susan was talking about, 10K. Enough time. I'm going to start putting aside school fees. But if I put the 10K, wait, yaka. All these small things of life that happen, and that fear of, if I start, this might happen. If I start, darling, that has to get out of us, that fear of actually starting, and we have to start. So for me, it is that fear that is very critical. And if we don't get rid of it, then that is the starting point of all our issues. The wanting to grow more and more every day. My friend, he has a Mercedes Benz, so I also want one. We are yearning for more money, but we don't know why we are yearning for it. It is very dangerous to yearn for money when you do not know why you want it. And that Mercedes Benz is beautiful, but after you get it, then what? It has the maintenance, it has fuel. Now fuel in Uganda is very expensive. I don't know how it is like in the other countries for all those that are tuned in. There's nothing wrong with yearning, wanting those beautiful things, but are they really critical at that particular point in time? Is it the most urgent thing you need at that particular point in time? I'm not saying a Mercedes Benz is bad, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong. Is it critical at that particular point in time? Which brings me to my next point of habits. Habits. My sisters, let's talk about some money habits here. Because I want my lipstick, I love my makeup, girl, I love my hair, and I love my nails. But I cannot afford it 99% of the time. So I am going to live above my means to make sure that it happens. Ladies, and I'm sorry for the gentlemen who are here. Let me first speak to my girls. There's nothing wrong with looking good. I mean, I need to get out of the house and look excellent. And I'm talking about small habits. Ladies and gentlemen, you see, I am talking about small habits here. I'm not getting into the big things. I'm talking about small things. There's nothing wrong with me going to Omchala, who is next door to me, because her cutting is dingy without a bathroom. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just going to get my hair done. But because I want to be seen in a certain area, I would rather go to like Forest Mall here and go to a very expensive, very expensive salon and spend 10 times as much for the same hairstyle. Small habits. So instead of spending the 50,000 that you should have spent, you end up spending 250,000 because of a venue. And I can see Patricia's hand is up. But let me just finish this habit section before I get into the other section. So small things, ladies, small things to change the way we do things. There's nothing wrong to do something that is a little bit at your level, because nobody cares. So what if people talk and then stop talking? But remember, we are in the habit of making sure that we save as much money as we can for that brighter future that we want to see. The person talking now is not going to be a part of your future. They're not going to be with you when your kids are graduating, like Susan has said. They're not going to be with you when you're enjoying your home. They're not going to sit in your house. So for you to try and make sure that the livelihood that you're living and the habits that you're doing, whether it means shopping for that shoe, instead of buying the 60K shoe, you want to buy the 420. Who is going to know the difference between the 420,000 shoe and the 60,000 shoe? But it's the same shoe. The other one is made in China, the other one is made in America. And it is the same shoe. Ladies, if you understand what I'm saying. So for me, anything to do with money, whether I want to make or grow money, has to start with me. And Susan also touched it, my daily habits when I have just woken up like this. A lot of us, when we have just woken up, what do? We go on Facebook. You go on Facebook, you're like, hey, but the thing in my house, that curtain didn't look nice. Who has brought in the new curtains? But does the curtain not look nice? So, is it covering properly? Is the shade looking nice? Are the things looking okay? So you end up taking unnecessary spending habits that we do not need. For me, one of the most important things in my life that I have seen, that have taught me the hard way, are my habits. I want to tell you a small story. I don't know how much time I have, but to bring habits home, when I was in college.
You're good to go, Barbara. It's okay. You still have some time.
When I was in college, I had just gone to America. I was very excited. Some person brought me a credit card of $500. I was very, very excited. You can imagine. I just went to the shopping mall and shopped and finished it. Then they added. They gave me more. I got 1,000. I was like, what? I still got that. Shop. Sweetheart, by the time I was within 6 months, I had accumulated debt of $15,000, and I was 17 years old. And then the bills started coming, and I thought I would call home for my father to help. He told me, Madam, did I spend that money with you? You'd better figure out how to manage that. And for the first time in my life, I got to learn the value of money. I had to learn the hard way. Of course, our parents had talked about it, but I hadn't experienced it. And ladies and gentlemen, at that point in time, because of the 15,000 debt, I had to work 4 jobs, go to school full time, and have a band that I was also doing. Actually, it was a 5 plus the band that I was doing at that time. It was crazy. But you see, learning the hard way, my eyes opened up on this credit card business. I said, what? Is it spent? Spent on what? You asked me what I used the 15,000 for. Nothing. But it all went down the drain. So one of those things that whether you want, I don't care what you want to get into, short-term investing, long-term investing, whatever you want to do to grow yourself financially, the other thing you're going to have to look at are your daily habits. How does your day start? Someone keeps telling you, there's no tongue, there's no bread, there's no, all those kinds of things. How do you deal your day-to-day expenses? And then one of my things, again, talking about the credit card that I want to get into, is the debt situation. we'd have to borrow. I know I've worked for banks, for financial institutions for a very long time. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing wrong with debt. Debt is not bad, as long as you know why you're getting that facility. Why are you getting it? We like short-term, it is called what? Short-term satisfaction. Everything is now. What can I do now? What will be nice now? A lot of the facilities I used to give, and Susan can attest to it, I would never give a facility willingly to my clients. We had to first sit down and talk as to why. Why are you getting it? And what is your plan B in the event things don't go well? Here, because you have, so you've gotten a job, your paid paycheck every month, everything is there. Okay, so they tell you your facilities, you have a loan limit of a personal loan up to 120 million. You have a facility of a mortgage up to 600 million. You're very excited. You jump onto it and you just get into it without knowing why you're getting into it. Someone will say, I'm getting a mortgage because I'm getting a house. Is it the right time for you to actually get a house of 600 million where you are at this point in time? And do you have a plan B in the event something doesn't work out right? A personal loan is not for a vacation. I have seen personal loans of vacation, of school fees, of why are you taking your child to a school that is going to cost $10,000 a term when you can easily take them to a school that costs 2.5 million Uganda shillings and the education is quite equally as good? Things that we can't afford that lead us into more and more debt, living like the Joneses. Sweetie, you are not a Jonesy, you are a Barbara. So you'll have to live within the Barbara means. The Joneses will catch up eventually. Or look at them as a point of inspiration. But ladies and gentlemen, you can't keep accumulating debt for short-termism, make you feel good, because it will always catch up with you. In Uganda, we've seen those situations with the biggest businessmen that we have seen, or even the biggest businesses that you have seen out there. It becomes a problem. And then you pass away and your kids have to take on the debt. Let us be very careful when we get into debt arrangements. And I know this is not the forum to get into that in detail, and I'm sure Babs will arrange another forum for that, where we will break it down now to tell you what it means to get a facility and what kind of facilities really, really would work for you in that situation. Right now, accumulating debt from a personal perspective, what you do personally will also affect your business, will also affect you in your workplace as well. Because your personal habits, your personal values where money is concerned will always have a trickle effect. So we have got to watch how we borrow and how, whether it is the whole shark business, we won't even get there. But we need to watch how we borrow. I know life can be urgent all the time, but is it urgent and important to you? And is it valuable? And can you have a plan B? So those are the things I wanted to tackle that for me put me in a lot of trouble where money was concerned, and I was really stuck for a very long time. At one point, I was like, "Why first run away from America? Why first do what?" Even I came to Kampala and I was also really stranded. The shark business put me in problems. I can tell you that for a fact. When you start borrowing when you shouldn't be borrowing in the first place, that debt is not needed. You can survive. This is Uganda. We have a lot of food. You can survive at any rate. What needs a human being needs to eat food, right? But anyway, just talking about some of those things that work for me, or are working for me. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the first things I know, even if we are talking about money, you need to know as a human being what value you want to leave on this universe, because then that will define how you're going to make your money. So what value do you want to leave on this universe? What do you want to do? I mean, okay, people will say, who are you? What's your purpose? I'm not getting into that. Going on, you as a person, what do you want to leave here as your legacy? As Barbara, I am very big when it comes to youth empowerment and women empowerment. I had to open my foundation to ensure that I can be able to do that. I need a space where I can affect at least one person a day. And remember, every person that you affect affects at least 17. So imagine the ripple effect. What value do you want to leave on this universe? Once you know that, finding a business to do becomes very serious, because that business will be tied to that value and that purpose. The job that you get will be tied to those things. If we are very scattered and not sure, you'll take the first gig, you'll open a business you're not sure about, it will fail. You'll start investing in things you don't understand because you want to return so fast. You understand? But if I know what value I want to leave, what legacy, me as Barbara, what do I want to leave behind? The job that I do, I don't like the word job, the work that I am doing that has a paycheck, or even the extra work that I do on the side to supplement income, like Susan said, will speak to that. And you heard what Susan was saying. She was very passionate about what she does, and it was very centered to those things that she holds dear. That question, ladies and gentlemen, you must answer first, because that is the first step to getting rid of those small habits that you have, to getting and all those things that are overclouding you to become the success story from a financial perspective. Another thing, this one for me is very personal to me because I keep fighting with a lot of my clients. Education about money. Financial literacy, but not if Barbara comes and takes you to a classroom, yours personally. So you want to know what stocks and bonds are. Why do you have to wait for a webinar that's going to happen in like March, rather in like May, when you can go and do Mr. Google search and find out yourself? You want to make the money. You want, but you don't want to put in the work. So who's going to make that money for you? And that's why we end up making those funny decisions because we want a quick win, a fast. Yeah? What can I get now? We need to get out of that mentality of the now. So, ladies and gentlemen, education is not going to a classroom and earning a degree and a master's and a doctorate. And education is, I have been struggling. What areas? I've heard of these stocks, CBT, what. Maybe let me just find out what this IPO business means and what trading means. Let me educate myself. Never wait for that chance to come for you. It is you to find it, because it is you that needs it. So how many of us take the time to educate ourselves on these things? I can give you an example. So you okay, and I mean, we won't get into that, but the MTN and Stanbic IPO, so it comes on. I wasn't well versed into that in that subject topic. It comes on, and then they tell you're going to handle the moderations, and you're going to do all these things about the IPO. You're going to tell people what it's all about and things like that. And I'm looking at them like, wait, what? You need to talk to the relationship managers. They said, you're not going to talk to those relationship managers. We want you to go and talk about it. Do you know how long it took me to understand that subject topic? 2 hours online. And the next morning I was, talking about it like I was like a fool. Guys, and education is very critical. Barbara, I am almost done. The other thing, Susan spoke about it very heavily, starting small when it comes to savings. Starting small. When we think of growing money, a lot of people are like, I want to save 100 million. I'm going to now. It's like saying, I want to lose 30 kilos. I want to lose 30 kilos. But every time you keep looking at the 30 kilos, it never happens because the fear of like 30 kilos, wow, But if you say, you know what, I want to save 10,000 a week, 10K, even 5K a week. My son helps me to do that, and he's 6 years old. Because he has his piggy bank, I have my savings account. He's like, mommy, I've put in my account. Have you put in? So he's like my accountability partner. Start small, ladies and gentlemen. On the part of savings, now investment is a whole other different topic. But if you're talking about growing money, you have to start somewhere. I always use for my emergency funds fixed deposits, and it might not be that thing for you. For me as Barbara, as an emergency fund, I always use fixed deposits because they always come in handy, especially if it's to pay school fees and things like that. I always use my fixed deposits and they work wonders, you know. But I don't know what works for you. You might have something else that works for you. So of course I have my fixed deposits, I have insurance for my kids, I have my properties, but different things work differently for different people. That's why I say this topic of money, what does it mean to you? The other thing, one of the things I do on the side of my business, I actually sing, I act, I MC, motivational speaking. Those are my areas where I earn my money out of my paycheck. It took me a long time to monetize those gifts. My dears, each and every one of you has a God-given talent. Not your title, MD, what. Each and every one of you has a God-given talent. If you're not using it to add value to yourself and those around you, we need to have a one-on-one and reevaluate ourselves because your job is not the one that says who you are. So I got my talent. I was heavily beaten when I was in school for over talking and singing and running out of class too. I was a crazy student. But look at me now at 42, and I'm using the same talents to earn an income. So I thought I was stealing, it was bad. But ladies and gentlemen, and I love this gentleman called Steve Harvey. I don't know if some of you have heard about him and some of his stories, but he says, if you know what your talent is, try and see if you can get $10 out of your talent, around 35K. Try one day, 35K, that's the guy's 30K. Then try again and double that and ask for 60. Then try again and double that and triple that and ask for a higher. And it's interesting how it works. And I tried that, ladies and gentlemen, and it's amazing how much money I earn for talking for 40 minutes. 40 minutes for talking, a gift I was waiting for. But I know I am earning the money, yes. But on top of earning that money, the people that I have spoken to have also taken away something. It's very beautiful to use your gift to add value. Do we know ourselves, ladies and gentlemen? Because your greatest gift financially is your talent, and you need to grow it. The other thing I want, two more things, Barbara, and then I'm done, is invest. We talk about investment, but not enough investing. I'm going to invest in investment because the topic. You need to invest in something you understand. That's why people like Warren Buffett are doing very well. I can never pronounce his name, Buffett, okay, but you all know who I'm talking about. That's why people like him succeed. Warren never invests in a business, a business he doesn't know. He will never invest in a business he doesn't know. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're getting into real estate. You have no idea how the property market works, but you're investing and buying buildings of 1.2 billion. And then what? Exactly. So we need to know what sort of investments we are going in. It's a beautiful step to take. Back to the topic of education. You need to educate yourself on what you need once you know what value you're going to add to this universe, because then your investments will make sense. Then your savings, depending on what savings or what you're trying to do in regards to savings, will make sense. You need to invest in a business that you know. Last but not least, accountability partners. When I was trying, for example, to lose weight, by the way, I lost 25 kilos, so it was a long journey. So when I was trying to lose weight, it was very, very, but I started on my own. Do you know how many times I started? 2 years. Never happened until I got myself an accountability partner. My goodness, this guy killed me. And I managed to lose the first 10 kilos in 6 months. It was beautiful. I'd never seen that. Then I went back again, gained another 10. Then we had to, those things. But an accountability partner keeps you grounded. You need anchors. And by the way, guys, an anchor can be anyone. Remember, your accountability partner for finances might not be your accountability partner for, I don't know, business growth. It could be different accountability partners are needed for different facets in our lives. But this money business, you are not going to do alone. If it means joining the circle, because all those can be accountability partners, so be it. If it means joining Bab's group here, saying, Babs, I don't care, you give me someone I can talk to, do it. But if you want to do this thing and you have a habit of procrastination and never starting, please get an accountability partner today to help you. Without the right anchors, you will never start. That money will never grow, that business will never set up, and will keep being in debt, and that Mr. Gonakunurite, that guy called you brokenness, will be your best friend. That fly that you try to kill and it never dies. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I come to an end, I would like to just not caution you, but more around have you go and reevaluate yourself. The subject of money is beautiful. You will hear it every day. But I can assure you, it will not matter how many conventions, webinars, I don't know what you go to. If you do not know, and I will repeat this extensively, what value you're going to add and what legacy you want to leave, you will not make the right investment. So I'm going to leave you with a book. I hope some of you like to read. Her name is Vicky Robin, and I'll put it here. Her name is Vicky Robin, and Your Money or Your Life. Lovely book. It even has an audio. Those of you that don't want to read, I know your name. Those of you that don't want to read, it's on Kindle. You can buy it, but I'm going to. Her name is Vicky Robin, and I'm putting that in the chat for you. And it is Your Money or Your Life. Please look for that book, or you can look for books that help. But for me, you know what I like about it? She puts it in our terms that you understand, from small tidbits. Like I said, when you're looking for anchors to help you in your life, even reading and educating yourself is critical. You need to unlearn, learn, relearn all the time. I also fall in problems as a human being. I have fallen in debt and gotten out of it, fallen in it and get it. We're human beings. We make mistakes and come out of them. But that's why anchors are very critical, and that is why educating ourselves is very critical. But most importantly, having a legacy to live towards is something we cannot go against. And I think with those words, I hope I have covered the subject topic as extensively as possible. But I know we all can. This topic of finances, anyone can do it. We all have 24 hours in a day. How you use them depends on how your success will be. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, what do I say? I think I should just pack my bags and leave. Thank you so much, Barbara Kasekende. This has been such an eye-opener, a refreshing conversation for me as an individual, and I believe the same for everyone listening in. Ladies, can I see virtual hand claps for our first guest speaker and our second speaker, Barbara? In the chat box, ladies and gentlemen, I need to see those hands. Unless if you don't learn anything, don't clap. But if you know you have benefited something, I need to see them hands in the chat box. Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you very much. And ladies, please be reminded, ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded that we'll have a Q&A session. And I encourage all of you to keep those questions coming. Keep the questions coming. And before we go to our next speaker, I would like to know what some of you have picked from what Barbara said. Like I said, I have my book here. If I'm to say what I have learned, I would literally be another speaker, I think. So ladies and gentlemen, briefly highlight, what is your highlight from what Barbara said? What has been your highlight from what Susan shared with us? And I will read that in just about a few seconds, actually, not even a minute. Let us know in the chat box what it is you have I've learned so much on holding yourself accountable. Yes. consider monetizing your talents. Yes, that's from Daphne. Discover your talent and monetize it. That's from Patricia. And okay, personally, I think I've learned a lot. Stop trying to keep up with the Jones. Invest, but invest in what you understand. Educate yourself. Accountability partner is crucial. Differentiate between wants and needs. Perfect. Learn having myself accountable, an accountable partner. Have an accountability partner. Check our habits. Avoid personal loans. Why are you taking that loan? Invest for the future. I think she would like to clarify something on personal loans. Go ahead, Barbara.
There's nothing wrong, guys, with taking a personal loan. Take it because it's going to add value to something you're doing that is increasing monetary value in your life for you to be able to pay it back on time. Difference. There's nothing wrong with taking it, but don't take it when you don't need it. Joram had asked something. Can I answer his question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Joram, you had asked about tracking expenses. There are so many apps, but sometimes some of these apps are written by people who are not in an African setting. So me, I get very confused. I have my own tracking tool. I need to be comfortable enough to use it, to be in a language that I understand. So I would suggest, Joram, exactly how you spend, how you buy. Try and make sure you keep as many receipts as possible. I would also suggest, if you can, use your mobile money or Visa, not credit card, Visa card, as much as you possibly can, because that will help you track expenses. So I did a little Excel sheet that tracks my expenses daily to keep me accountable for what I'm doing, which I used to share with my accountability partner, for which she said, Barbara, here you ate too much. Why did you have to eat steak 3 times a week? Was it needed? So you can also, and bank slips, thanks, mother. So you need to keep those things whereby every day you can be able to track your expenses. Darling, I can tell you when you start doing that, you will start feeling embarrassed when you see that you're spending quite a lot of time on, or rather a lot of money in areas that you shouldn't, like drinks for the boys. You don't have to buy the rounds. It is okay not to buy the rounds. So that is how I track my expenses. So you have to find something that also works for you. The apps, I don't lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. I fail. So I do it. That is how I do it personally. I hope I answered your question, Joram. Babs, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Barbara. There is a comment from someone on what she learned that I think summarizes that point. Oh my God, I don't know, just a minute. Okay, so she was talking about knowing what value and legacy you want to leave behind, and then have everything you're doing in your life rotate towards that. I think that's a perfect summary of that point that you gave. And then monetize your gift, but I'm also wondering over what are my gifts? How do I discover it? Actually, now there is another question similar to this on someone had DM'd us. How can I discover my talent? So I think these are two questions that you can answer jointly.
First things first, I think, Babs, you need to give me a session for gifts alone for like an hour.
You will definitely be back.
And we go through a proper, of discovering self. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not something I can cover in like 1 minute, but one thing I can tell you is every one of you has something you do without thinking about it. Let me give an example. You go to a restaurant and you order, you don't order food, but you find yourself, for example, trying to help the waiters and the waitresses. You're the one who's trying to make sure that every food is okay. You're uneasy if people haven't gotten food. That comes naturally. What does that tell you about service, for example? So you see, you can start a consultancy around service and training waiters or waitresses, for a hotel business, for example. In my case, every morning I wake up, I sing. Love it. I've loved it all my life. It comes flawlessly. Talking, I was beaten for it. In fact, I was told it's a bad thing. Women should not talk too much. It shows that you're loose. Can you imagine? People have certain ways of saying certain things. But it took me quite some time to discover those gifts and see how to monetize them. And the only way I did that, when I started looking at people like Oprah and going back in their past, when I was looking at people like Les Brown and going back in his past. Again, this is all part of education. You know, when you start discovering new things, you start to see things that actually speak to you directly. What are those things you do flawlessly without thinking twice? That you can do it in your sleep. 99.99%, that is always where your talent lies. So you need to discover that. And that is a journey you have to take when you grow. So I hope that kind of answers.
Thank you so much,
those
Barbara.
questions. But we'll have a bigger question.
Trust me, Barbara, you will be back at some point. I'm already getting that request privately.
Oh.
So definitely you will be back. So there is a question. I don't know if we should take these questions or wait for our next speaker to speak, and then we'll have them after, because there are some questions that we had specifically for you. So
we can, what I can do, if I can finally get them also in my personal, you know, if you can send them to me privately, so that Juliana can also speak and we don't run out of time.
True.
And we see how many I can answer after Juliana has spoken. So if you can just send me privately. Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much. Just to personally, let me also tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and our panelists, what I have learned or what I can re-emphasize to you guys is that how you grow and make your money starts from the time you get out of your bed. What does that mean? Your daily habits. From the time you set your feet on ground, out of your bed, what you do after that, until the time you come back to sleep, has an impact on not only your financial life, but your other areas in your life. Thank you so much, Barbara, for sharing those nuggets with us. And we'll now go on to our speaker, Juliana Kagwa. Juliana Kagwa will be handling work-life balance as a woman. And like I said, these are disclaimers I will give until the end of the webinar. I'm not going to do justice to any bio for these ladies, but please visit our social media pages. Their full bios are really, really detailed, and it will be nice if you visit, look at them, and get to know more about them. Briefly, Juliana has a wealth of experience, having held various leadership roles in fast-moving consumer good companies, ranging from marketing, strategy, commercial, and innovation. Recently, she has taken on the public policy and regulatory affairs function at Uganda Breweries. She's a wife and a proud mother of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me, Juliana Kagwa.
Thank
Juliana,
you, Barbara.
the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Just confirm you can hear me. So I'm not speaking to myself.
Oh, yes, we can.
Great, thanks. Thanks a lot, Barbara. I'm really, humbled to be here and, sharing the floor with previous speaker, my sister from Namagunga, Barbara Kasekende. Of course, Suzanne, who I think we might have lost because she's in transit somewhere. But, thank you again, Barbara, for giving me this opportunity to, share a few nuggets from my own experience on a topic that I think for me has become more and more pertinent. Like the busier and the more hectic work gets for women, and the busier we get, whether it's in corporate or business, the more challenged we are in terms of balancing our work and life. One thing Barbara's already touched on, which I will always, also I think spend a bit of time on, is our habits. Because human beings are creatures of habits, and the more it takes, I think, about 7 times to repeat something, an activity, or a way of life, in order for it to become a habit. So I was inspired by what Barbara said, because if we can start to focus on our habits or create new habits, we already start to foster change in our lives. So already, Barbara, you will be encouraged, and you've inspired me today not to go and do my nails. I was just sat here thinking, I need to do my nails. I was looking at them, and then I said, but do I need to? Can't I save that? I won't say how much money I use on my nails, but I already feel like I'm breaking a habit that might save me in the future. So I thank you for that, my sister Barbara. You've liberated me from doing my nails on this public holiday. Anyway, so in terms of work-life balance, I think it's a topic that's spoken about across, a lot of organizations, because people are trying to increase productivity of their human resource. And so it's almost become lip service. So, work-life balance, your boss, your line manager has to tell you about work-life balance. Please try and spend some time on the weekend with your family. So it's almost run of the mill. However, I've seen now, and, it's because I've been working for, 16 years plus, it's more important now than it ever was, because it has ceased to be a nice to have and, something you might or might not do. You could choose to just be a career girl and just work 24/7. I don't think we have a choice anymore. Work-life balance has become almost a must do in order for us to survive. And the reason why I say it is a must do rather than a nice to have is because if you do not strike that balance between your work and your life, somehow the imbalance will manifest. Now, whether it manifests in health issues, whether it manifests in personal issues where your personal relationships break down, whether it manifests in any other which way, it will manifest. So in other words, if we do not start to strike a balance between our work and life, and somehow ensure that, we're giving each one of those as much time as we possibly can, but more so the life bit. And I'll tell you why I think life has to tip the scale. Then we start to already see it almost creep into our work lives. A good example is, we tend to think, exercise or spending time with family, etc. Those are, niceties. When I get some extra time, free time, that's when I'll check on my brother and family. The less productive you are at work. It's as simple as that. So one services the other. It's almost like one hand washes the other. So work-life balance, how do we perform and prosper in our careers? How do we rise up that proverbial corporate ladder and at the same time maintain contact and human, our emotional sanctity at home with our family, our friends, in the same vein? And to be honest, we only have about, call it 15 years max when you're the most productive. The rest of the time, really, you should be in extra time. You should be in free fall. You should have amassed some kind of small money, like Susan said. You should have some kind of financial security. You should have some kind of emotional stability. You have about 15 years to make or break. And so I'm really impressed by, I think the average age on this call is, I'll say everybody here is between, call it 28 to about 40, possibly younger. And guys, these are the you want to learn. You want to know, how do I strike the best possible work-life balance? So I'll start with what works for me. Of course, a lot of gurus have written, life coaches. Everybody here has probably been in one or two talks about the same. I'll talk about my personal experience because, that's what I know best. So in terms of work and life, the thing is this. I think a lot of times we spend a disproportionate amount of time on work and amassing wealth because we think, that's how you're going to secure the future. You'll have money to treat whichever disease is, on the horizon. However, there's ways to actually prevent that kind of life. There's ways to prevent yourself, your body expiring before it's supposed to, by starting to strike that magic work-life balance indicator. So there's 2 or 3 tools that I've started to deploy more often than not. And I've taken them from my work life, actually, because when you're in the corporate arena, or even in the business arena, you're exposed to very many business improvement tools, business improvement skills. And I've found that if I can, one, start to take those tools and apply them in my own personal life, if I start to schedule my family time, my exercise time, if I start to create and form new habits that I typically do because the other side, they're paying me, if I start doing it because I need to for my own personal satisfaction and motivation, then I'm doing doubly well. So one key tool, and this is what I've been using since I was in my early 20s, it's one that I got from a book called, one of my favorite books in life, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think it's Steve Covey, and anyone here can keep me honest. And one of the things there was around just scheduling, what is important, what is urgent, etc. So there's like a grid almost where you plot everything you have to do at work. So today I have to issue this amount of administrative work. I have to sign off this number of invoices, LPOs. I have to finish this presentation. I have to interface with this stakeholder, all that stuff. So you're basically plotting what is important versus what is urgent. And essentially what you have in the top right-hand corner of that grid is what is both important and urgent. So essentially must be done within the next 24 to 48 hours. We do this homework for work. We do this homework for invisible shareholders out there. I work for Diageo. Some of those people I've never seen, but I plot my life meticulously for work purposes. Why can we not do the same for our personal time, our personal engagements? Why can we not do the same for our 3 personal KPIs, which is our spiritual health, our mental health, and our physical health? So I think for me, one of the tools I've already mentioned is that one. So how do you start to plot what is important, urgent? So top right-hand corner, get that done 24 to 48 hours. Exercise must be in your top right-hand corner. I don't care who you are. Barbara spoke enough about that. Whether or not you're oscillating between 10 kilos to 5 kilos, you've got to get your lungs and your heart working. What I tell people is that the best way to do things which are difficult, you don't want to wake up at 5 in the morning. Nobody wants to. I have mentors who are up at 4 a.m. One of my mentors, Baker Magunda, the man does it. I told him, are you a night dancer? What are you doing at 4 in the morning? He says, but for me, it's easier because I get then 2 hours ahead of everybody else. I start my day 2 hours ahead. When he said that to me, I said, okay, maybe that's something I need to start investigating. And always another habit I developed from Steve Covey in that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The 7th habit, I believe, is sharpening the saw. You have to keep learning and unlearning, learning and unlearning. So this man who wakes up at 4, what is he doing? There are people who are up on these calls at 3. They're praying at 3. What are they doing? So I said, okay, there must be some kind of literature out there. Let me upskill myself. So there's another life coach, I think, Robin Sharma. I got that book more recently, by the way, because I all my life I've been like, no, I'm not a morning person. Yeah, I wake up, my brain starts connecting with my body at around 10 a.m. So anything before that, I'm in autopilot. But that's a habit I had built and I've had to break. Actually, it was broken for me because 2 years ago, I had 4 babies at one time. I had quadruplets. Now for them, they're not morning people, they're not evening people, they're not afternoon, they are all the time people. Tebazikiza. So you cannot be the mother and say, for me, I think around 10 o'clock is when I wake up and start bathing people and what? No, for them, they're up at 5, 6. So I bought a book called The 5 a.m. Club. And essentially, it could be 5 a.m. for somebody, it could be 4 a.m., could even be 6 a.m., I don't know. But the whole concept around it, the idea is, can you get, if typically your day starts at 6 or 7, and when I say start, probably that's when you have your first coffee, you're making breakfast for the kids are going to school, that your day has already started, you're not thinking anymore. What that book or the idea is, or the concept is, start your day 1 hour earlier than you typically do, so that you buy yourself some lead time to just think, breathe, meditate, plan, organize, put things down in an, MO. Do your important urgent grid or revisit it, because typically you want to do it at the beginning of the week. You can't plot it every day, otherwise you'll go crazy. So buy yourself some time. Yes, let's sleep, but also you could also just go to bed earlier. I don't know what people are doing that evening. Young people here, but that's the thing. It's just, can you buy yourself that extra time? So plot your life, plan it as meticulously as you do for your boss, for your subordinates, for everybody at work. Start plotting your spiritual time. And spiritual time, by the way, again, something I found so liberating is any time. So I used to think if you don't do Sunday church, if you don't do the 5 a.m. mass, those who are Catholics on here, then you're missing out. God is leaving you. That's how I know He's leaving you. No. Even when you're exercising, even when you're out jogging or walking, as time you could be connecting with whomsoever you pray to, by the way. Yes. So again, in terms of work-life balance, I think for me, what I'm trying to demonstrate to you is you can create habits that will help you to create that balance. So plot your important, urgent. Be curious, learn, unlearn, read as much as you can, upskill yourself on the subject matter. The third and possibly last one for me is around the art and skill of delegation. So a lot of times, again, we're trained at work. How do you delegate? Inspect what you expect, make lists for people, draw up this and that. And how are you doing it at your home as a woman? Do you have charts? And I used to think, okay, fine, it's suffocating. How can you have a menu for the whole week? Derek Kakonga is still on here. We used to have a thing at my house called Chicken Tuesdays. So if we don't eat chicken at the Kagwa house on Tuesday, that's it, potea the whole week. But what I'm trying to demonstrate to you is that if you start to plan and organize your work and life balance the same way, using the same tools that have been, given to you, or the same skill set that has been given to you, you start to see just as much progression in your career as you have in your personal life. So, do you have schedules at home? Do you know what time is family time? In this day and age, or this era of technology, every child has a phone, a tablet, an iPad. There's just too much going on, so that even when you say it's family time, mostly people are now on their phones. So people are at the dinner table, but they're on their phones. So, again, it's an extension of work. You're saying you're with your family on Saturday, you've taken your children to the playground or for a birthday party, but every single mom is on email. So what discipline or what habits are we building around our life or our family time in order to secure and protect it? And therein, by the way, lies I think for me, is the solution. Because as soon as you start to, there's hormones that you actually, so exercise, there's adrenaline, which is a good hormone. It's a healthy hormone. There's other hormones, serotonin. There is oxytocin that you get from spending time with family and friends. And all these things, if you read now, because the literature is there, it's available. All those hormones, they call them happiness hormones. You're just buying time in your life. You're buying more time to work, make money. You're buying more time to spend with your family and friends. I keep telling people that see me exercising at all hours of the day, if I miss my routine in the morning, I will go it'll be midday, the sun will be out. But because I don't want to break the habit, I know I need at least an hour out. I will do it over lunch. And many times I'll find people coming through cars. I think my husband has been told severally, your wife is going to have a heat stroke, sir. You need to be careful because this kasana she's in. I'm like, I'm walking because I need to see my children get married. It's as basic as that. If I don't remain healthy, I'm not going to be able to dance with my daughter, with my son. I'm cheating myself. So it's as basic as that. And once you start to have to tear away the superficial motivations, I have to work because I need money. No, you have to work because you want to protect your family. You have to work because you've got to secure their future. That's why you're working. But how are you going to do that if you've broken down, if you have a stroke, if you've been checked in Tubutabika? How are you going to do all that? So for me, it's, one hand washing the other. One hand washing the other. It's as basic as that. So find your motivation, find the reason why you need to make money, find the reason why you need to have some personal family time, and make sure that your spiritual, mental, emotional health, I think they should take about 60% on the tipping scale, 60 to 70. And then the rest of the time, look for money, chase that paper. For me, again, on a personal note, I think it's been tougher than most. I don't think many women in working Uganda or corporate Uganda have as many children as I do. We're at the same age. So I've had to almost, what's the word? It's been a crash course, because I knew all this stuff from work. I knew what I needed to do to get the job done. I've been sitting on the Uganda Breweries Exco for about 6-7 years now. There's nothing I don't know in planning and leading and all of that stuff. So I found myself having to now direct those energies, that same skill set, bring it to my home. When my babies came in 2019, back in 2019, 2020 there, I was having things as basic as town hall meetings for my sisters who were helping me at the time, for my nannies, for my husband. I would sit and say, now, members, what are we doing strategically? What do we need to do this? So how is the baby's schedule? How is their program? What time is nap time? And I found that I was using these energies at work, and it used to come so naturally to me, but now I'm feeling weirded out by doing it at home. And yet, in a month or two, we had a rhythm that no one could believe. It was military stuff happening in my house, but helping everybody, freeing them up. So we had 4 babies. At the time, we coached and trained the babies to, mealtime, same time, nap time, same time, so that by 6:37 p.m., everybody's had it for the day. The house is now turning down. Same way you would be turning down at work. People are switching off computers, 5-6 p.m. Those who need to go for kamu can go for kamu. But I realized that if I hadn't taken what I had learned in the boardroom and applied it here in my house, scheduling, timing, even reviews. And I know this is a sticky one, because no one wants to review their personal life. No one wants to sit with their husband or spouse and say, okay, score me, how am I doing on a scale of 1 to 10? You're more comfortable doing it with your boss. You're happy to hear from your boss, you're not performing on this, you fully executed this one. You can, you talk about strengths and weaknesses with your boss, like it's nothing, because you're used to it. It's what you're paid for. And you're happy to hear feedback. Feedback is a breakfast of champions. At work, when they are giving you feedback, you want it. You don't want feedback at home. You don't want your nannies to tell you, Mommy, you could have done this better. Mommy, you are delaying us because you're late on this or that and the other. So I think for me, if we start to apply some of those tools, we start to find a balance. And one does not have to be separate from the other. They're actually symbiotic. When you thrive in your personal life, when you're doing well, when your family is doing well, when your kids are growing, when they're happy and healthy, you become a much more productive citizen of whichever organization or whichever business you're doing. So I'll leave you with those 2 or 3 cents. I'm very much like Barbara. If you don't manage me, I can talk until the cows come home. But if you take nothing away from this conversation, please take away the fact that each and every one of us, for as long as you're a woman in Uganda of a certain age, you have the skill set, you have been trained to find a work-life balance. Simply apply those tools you've been using at work to your life at home, and disproportionately assign time to your life at home, to your family, to your friends, because therein lies what is going to help you thrive. You take that energy, that same positivity, and you bring it to work. If you're not happy at home, if you have failing relationships, if your kids are constantly sick, you will never do anything in the boardroom. You will not climb the proverbial corporate ladder and break the glass ceiling. So I think for me, that's my 2 cents. I'm open to some questions. I've mentioned 2 books. I hope people have taken them down. I've really enjoyed them, and they've done amazing stuff for me in terms of lessons. And yeah, over to you, Barbara.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Juliana. Guys. This is so refreshing. Now, let me leave it to the participants. I want, first and foremost, before we even comment anything, I would like for you guys to give virtual hand claps to Juliana Kagwara for the amazing, amazing topic. You really nailed it, Juliana. You nailed it. Kabisa. So, ladies and gentlemen, okay. Those are hand claps for you, Juliana. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I would like to know what each one of you has picked from what Juliana said. As always, I have my book and I've been taking notes. So I would like to know, what have you picked from Juliana's session? Can I start, ladies, or you would like to go first? Our dear participants, tell us, wake up earlier. Yes, I actually have that as well. Start your day early. What are you doing sleeping in? What are you doing sleeping in? Start your day early. And on that note, she mentioned about the book, 5 a.m., the 5 a.m. Club.
Yes.
Powerful nuggets, investing faithfully in your personal KPIs as much as you invest in the KPIs of the company you work for with. Then the 5, okay. I have that as well. Juliana, I have learned that from you. I am confessing. I have never actually looked at it in that angle. We're always, evaluated on the work KPIs. We're always struggling to make sure our KPIs, you actually check on them maybe quarterly, maybe monthly, to make sure that you're in line with the work KPIs. Why can't we do the same for our personal life? If there is anything I am taking away from what you've said, I will take that. I will begin to set KPIs for my personal life and do an evaluation on myself, and then, grade myself. Am I a high-performing person as far as my personal life is concerned, or am I lacking? Who is the author of the 5 a.m. Club? I think
Robin Sharma. Yes, Robin Sharma. Yeah.
Feedback is a breakfast for champions. Get some from home as well. That's from Agnes. And then, okay, I'm missing some of them. Thank you so much, Juliana. And I like that you say that work-life balance is something, where we're headed is something that we must do. We don't have luxury about it, especially as women. I think we're not in that century where we were all taken care of, and then you just had to stay home and just look after kids, and that's it. You have to work for your family, you have to work for yourself, and therefore work-life balance is really important.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I think I have some questions. Even men. Shadik, what do you mean by even men? Would like to know what you mean by that.
I think even men need feedback. I think he's asking for feedback.
Shadik would really like to respond to you. Please clarify on what you mean. I see you're putting an emoji, a very sad emoji. I would love to know what you're talking about exactly. And the other point that Juliana talked about that resonated with me, or that I found really interesting, was find your why. What is your reason? And again, it sort of connects to what Suzanne and what Barbara talked about, your why, your reason, your legacy, your value. What is it that you want? And then that will sort of help you, steer you to the right direction regarding all your decisions in life, all your habits in life, all your choices in life. And also, she talked about what interests, what habits are you putting, or sort of, putting around your routines in life. And maybe those will definitely affect your life in general. Management tools used at work should be used at home. Yes, Caroline, yes. And that includes the KPIs and any other tools that you might be using at work. maybe your boss is using on you or you're using on yourself to make sure you're a high performer or a good performer. So I think we'll get into the Q&A. Powerful nuggets. And I like how we have kept time. It is 11:48. We're just like, I think 3 minutes past the time we're supposed to close. Well said, Juliana, well said. We excel in the workplace and are not efficient at home. The two have to work together. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so there is someone who was asking that they wanted maybe you to throw more light on how they can effectively make sure they stick to the routines they set or the positive habits they set towards their life. So maybe you can throw more light on that for them. How can they stick to the positive routines or positive habits they're trying to create in their lives?
I think for me, the trick that I've found is repetition. And obviously everyone has the magic number, how many times do you repeat it until it becomes a habit? But again, I've done marketing now for about 15 years. And we used to have a thing. So it's been scientifically proven that if someone repeats something about 7 times, we used to call it trial and error. I'm in fast moving consumer goods. So we sell, beer with a soda or whatever. And the trick was get them to try it 7 times. 7 times stuck with me as the number. And again, this is something, I've taken from the boardroom and I'm using it at home. If I can teach myself, I can repeat something 7 times over, it's more likely to become a habit than it's not. Of course, every individual has a different personal velocity and rhythm. Some people might take 14 times. Barbara, I think she has confessed to us, it has taken her about 20 times to learn the exercise routine. But repetition for me is what is magic. And if you miss a day or two on this new habit you're trying to create or form, don't sweat the small stuff. Nobody's perfect. And, Barbara talked about an accountability partner. Have one. Check in. Say, keep me honest on this. Let's do it together. I don't know. But that always helps as well. So repetition, accountability partners. Me at home, at my home life, my nannies are my accountability partners. Are we moving in tandem? Are we moving at the same rhythm? So I think for me, repetition and accountability partners. With some of the tools.
Okay, thank you, Juliana. And I think there was another question, but I think you've answered it. Someone had asked, how can I get my kids to a routine?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's maybe the same process, repetition 7 times over 7 times. So yes. I think it is the same answer that you gave.
Okay, but with kids, there's a little extra. You've got to motivate them as well. You've got to help them find the why. Why do I need to do this, mommy? Why do I need to keep doing this? So help them to start with the end in mind. What's in it for them, which is, something we use even at work. What is in it for me? Otherwise, why am I doing it? Yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Another round of applause to all our guest speakers. Okay, there's someone, unfortunately, I can't speak French or read it. There's someone who's commenting in French. But before we conclude, there were questions from, I think questions for Barbara. Someone was asking, share how to get out of bad debts. How do I get out of bad debts? So maybe you can take us through briefly about bad debts. Yeah.
Okay, I think it was Joram, and I had answered him privately. Personally, there are 2 ways. Of course, there are also other ways, like I said, if you go to teach yourself on how to get out of bad debt. But one thing that helped me to get out of bad debt without getting into books and things was, again, going back to what Juliana was saying and what Susan said, guys, I had to get rid of my spending habits. The one thing that put me in bad debt was my spending. So I had to get rid of my spending habits. Also, when you are in debt or if you take a facility and they tell you have to pay on average 2 million shillings a month, it doesn't take much for you to say, every month I will increase by maybe like 100,000 or 200,000 to try and see how fast you can get out, you can complete that particular facility. But on top of that, don't be getting other debts, please. So if you're wanting to get out of debt, stop getting loans, please. Let us stop and then try and see how you can stop that. However, we are human beings and creatures of habit. So if you see that you can't do it on your own, you will need to get a financial advisor. And there are so many people as your accountability partner. There are so many people that can help you without you having to pay an arm and a leg, you know. You can do it through your bank. A lot of banks have financial advisors without you having to work 10 times as hard. You can just go and say, look, this is how I'm looking. How can you help me so that I can reduce my debt? That can happen at the banks for free if you take the time to actually go there. And then you can also start on your own. But personally, I started on my own until I cleared. And then eventually, I started getting facilities that actually make sense and are of value. And I also told Joram, in the event that he needs more help, he can sidebar me and I can help him. And we can work on this thing together. Yes.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you very much. I have noticed, Joram, I hope, and actually Joram and another person who had asked about bad debt. I hope you've been answered.
Stop spending!
Start with the smallest, have like a payment plan, like she was saying, and if you can't do it on your own, seek for assistance. When it comes to money matters, always be willing to be vulnerable and talk to someone who you think is better than you, instead of drowning in a ditch that might take you longer to get out of once you realize the trouble you're in. I see that people are trying to raise their hands. Let me see. 4 participants raised hand. Okay. Who do we? We're trying to make sure that we get these people. Yes. Choose one. Okay, unfortunately, I can't. Sorry about that, guys. Technology. So we're trying to, I see Brenda. Brenda, your hand is up. Please unmute. And if you have a question, you could ask it. Brenda, please unmute yourself. Okay, so we'll go to Mercy. I think maybe Brenda is having trouble. Mercy, please unmute yourself and speak to us. Okay, so I think we're having trouble letting in people. If you could, Mercy and Brenda, please, if it's a question, let us know in the chat room. Please post your question in the chat room and we can look at it before we close. Then finally, there's a question for you, Barbara. How can I reinforce financial discipline in my small Chukomando kiosk?
Unmute. I love that question. I wish I could talk to that young man or lady one-on-one. Financial discipline, this is a small business. Small business where financial discipline is concerned is how does your business plan look like, which also informs your financial plan. So I realized the way in Uganda we do business is I want to start a business, I will go in anyway, I will just hit it and hustle. But you see, if you run a business, there are certain principles that you have to follow. So for my friend who's running a kiosk, A business plan does not mean you have to go and write 1,000 pages. Why are you starting that kiosk in the first place? The one thing that normally takes most money in a business is your operating costs, your starting costs. So get under that you started like a business, and the money you're putting in buto, nyanya, butunguru, blah, 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 is a lot more money than what you're pricing or costing the end product. So which goes back to financial planning. You need to know, when I am starting my business, I am going to go in the food industry. Have you even done a proper feasibility study to know that if I start a food industry, how much comes out of a sack of potatoes, how many over a sack of flour and onions, tomatoes, how much do I have to spend with this much of my produce to be able to create that one plate of a commando that I'm going to give away on Rolex? So those things are things that have to be written down and planned earlier. Without you planning it, you'll end up spending so much, buying so much, and in the end, you'll not make any of that money back. So in regards to how to run a small business, again, Barb's on this, that would be a topic that we'll have to discuss in detail for us to talk about what it means to plan for your business. So you have that business plan. Are you just starting because your friend Jacqueline has started the business? Now we're doing them because Jacqueline is successful? Or are you starting it because you want to add value to what Jacqueline has? And now you want to make sure that the business you started is adding a certain element of value. Your unique selling point, that extra thing that you add to your business to be different from everybody else, is what will also inform your pricing at the end and earn money at the same time. So these are things that we'd have to talk about in detail, but I'm hoping that gives you some tidbits. You're going to go back and relook at your costs. How much money do you put in and how much do you put out? So if you're putting in more than you're putting out in regards to how much you're earning back from what you're giving your client, then there's something wrong with your financial planning or your costing to start off with. So there's some work to be done there, but it is possible to actually price the right way if you get your operation costs or your costs that you put in to be able to put out right. Yeah. But that is a session we need to have as well.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we have to leave. We have to leave, unfortunately, time. So we will definitely have these amazing ladies back at some point in future. And then there was someone asking about our social media handles. Please, thank you, Barbara. Answer received. Shadik says answer received. So thank you so much. Our social media handles are at Financial Diet UG. We're going to type that in the chat room across all social media platforms, that is Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So thank you so much. Thank you. And what does Financial Diet do? So I saw someone asked about Financial Diet. Like I said, Financial Diet is a financial literacy company that focuses on equipping individuals with knowledge about basic money principles in order to create wealth and financial freedom. We offer customized one-on-one both individual and group mentoring and coaching programs. So be it a career person, be it a business person, be it a farmer, be it as an individual, be it a stay-home mom, anyone. Okay, so please do follow us on our social media pages. We'll keep updating our social media pages and keep you updated on whatever that we have that is coming up. So I hope we answered your questions. And for those that we did not, we are so sorry, but let's continue this conversation on all our social media pages. And okay, maybe one thing, Barbara, is that there's a book that you talked about and you didn't share it. People would like to know that. If you could just drop it in the chat room, maybe. Please, Barbara, share the Excel. I badly need it. Also the Excel. So
okay, so I shared. Her name is Vicky Robin. Her name, the lady who wrote the book is Vicky Robin, and she wrote Your Money or Your Life. The title is Your Money or Your Life.
Your Money or Your Life.
Or Your Life. Please, Vicky Robin, Your Money or Your Life. She's all over the place. And she's really nice. I like the way she explains money.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Vicky Robin, Your Money or Your Life. Amazing.
Yes.
I don't want to leave, but we have to leave. Barbara, Juliana, Susan, thank you all so much. You are busy ladies, but for you guys to take time and come listen to us, come speak to us and listen to the questions that the participants have and take time to also answer them is really a lot for me. So all our social media pages, that is Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, is at Financial Diet UG. I see people keep asking Financial Diet UG for all our social media platforms. So maybe is there anything Juliana or Barbara you would like to say, and then we will close. After you have spoken, I can't speak again. We'll just exit the meeting.
No, mine is just to thank you, Barbara, and your team for putting this together, and I think really motivating, inspiring women this morning. I know I gave you a hard time because it's a public holiday. In the true spirit of work-life balance, I said, must we do this during lifetime? But I think it's been awesome, and just keep on doing what you're doing. It's really great work. Thank you.
Yeah. Well said, Juliana. Honestly, thank you for doing this on a public holiday. I had to move with the sun. I told him stay out of the.
Oh, hi, handsome.
So it's one of those, but thank you for doing this. And I know someone mentioned that some of these things should also be in line, of course, with the boy child, because you can't empower the girl child without empowering the boy child, which makes a lot of sense. And I know we definitely can't get to that. But Shadiq, you have to be the first one to start that trend. So it takes one person to start the trend, and then the rest of us can come join you and make it a reality. But Babs, thank you. I think we need more of these sessions to get into some topics deeply, and we will be with you to walk this journey with you. Thank you, and ladies, happy Women's Day. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Before you go, I think we already have results from this webinar. Someone is saying my wife is here making a will now. Good to go, ladies. Anyway, guys, we have to let you go, as much as it is really sad for us too. Let us continue the conversation.